Today we are going to learn about histograms. A histogram is a type of bar graph used to represent a numerical data that have been organized into equal intervals. And an interval allows you to see the frequency distribution of the data, or how many pieces of data are in each interval. So here we have our first example of a histogram. Notice that it has a title. Here is the height or the frequency, and here is your price range, okay, for the cost of different remote control airplanes. So here are some facts about histograms that we need to know. We need to know that there are no spaces between bars. Our bars connect. Also, that because all of the intervals are equal, all the bars have the same width. So from one end of the bar to the other, those are the same. Our intervals down here, when we choose intervals, we got to make sure that they are equal. They contain the same amount of numbers in them. And then our last fact is that intervals with a frequency of 0 have a bar height of 0. And here is that example. The interval of $125 to $149.99 has a height of 0 because no airplanes cost that much. So let's practice. Here we have the histogram that we were just looking at, and let's answer some questions by looking at our histogram. So we're going to refer to the above histogram, interpret the histogram, and how many remote control airplanes cost at least $100. So here is the $100 range, and at least means 100 or more. So that means that we've got to look at the height and see that this first interval is a height of 2, so that's 2 airplanes. The second one is a height of 0. And the third one is a height of 1. That's 1 airplane. So we would add them up and we would say 3 airplanes cost at least $100. Then to see how many prices are recorded, we look at the height of every single interval because those are our prices recorded. And the first interval has a height of 9. So then our second interval has a height of 7. Third has a height of 1. Fourth has a height of 2. Fifth has a height of 0. And our last interval has a height of 1. When we add those all together, we get 20. So that means 20 prices were recorded. Then it's asking what range contains the most remote control airplanes. Okay, that would be our mode. Our mode talking about the range that contains the most. So that's our highest bar, and that would be this interval range right here of $25 to $49.99. Then it asks what price range were no airplanes recorded, and that would be an bar height of 0, which is our $125 to $149.99. How many airplanes were recorded with a price between $125 and $149? You go and you look for that range. Here we have this range right here, and it has a height of 0, so that means that we would put 0. Then how many airplanes were recorded with a price range of $150 and $174.99? That would be 1 airplane. Then how many remote control airplanes cost at least $100, and how many remote control airplanes cost less than $75? I would like you to answer these last 2 questions on your own, pressing pause. When you have finished, please press play and we will move on. The table shows the number of daily visitors to selected state parks. Draw a histogram to represent the data. So our first step is to make a frequency table to organize the data. We use a scale from 100 through 399 with an interval of 50. That means that right here we have 50 numbers from 100 to 149. Then we use the next set of 50 numbers, next set of 50 numbers, all the way until we get to the last interval they told us, which was 399. So then we tally up. We want to go through here and we want to say how many visitors were between 100 and 149. When we look at our table up here, that's where we're going to find out. And we have 2 visitors, so we would put 2 tallies, 108 and 137. Our frequency is how many tallies you have. How many parks had that? And that's 2. 2 parks had that range. So then let's look at 150 to 199. Here's 171. Here's 152, and you would do that all the way to the end. So I would like you to fill out your tally and your frequency. When you have finished filling this out, please press play, and we will move on. So after step 1 of making our frequency table, step 2 is to draw and label a horizontal and vertical axis, including a title. We show the intervals from the frequency table on the horizontal axis and label the vertical axis to show the frequencies. That's a lot. So what you need to do is, let's first think of our title. These are daily visitors, to state parks. That's our title. Okay, so then our frequency is what goes up. So over here is where we have our frequency. Okay, and then our bars are going to show and represent this one right here, this row, which is our column, which is the number of visitors. So then we have to write our intervals, and it said to take these intervals and place them into our chart. So that means that our first interval is going to be from 100 to 149. Your second interval is 150 to 199. Third, 200 to 249. Fourth, 250 to 299. Then we have 300 to 349, and then 350 to 399. Okay, those are your intervals. And now your step 3 says for each interval, draw a bar with the height given by the frequency. So our first interval, we have a frequency of 2. So we want to make sure, and then our biggest interval was a frequency of 8. So that's how we decide what numbers to put over here on the left side. The line at the bottom of your graph is going to be a 0. And then let's go all the way up to 10. Okay, and we can separate these by, let's do by 2s. So we have 2, 4, 6, 8. Okay, so our first one is a frequency of 2, so we would draw our bar all the way to 2. Okay, and then your second interval is the frequency of 7. So remember that the width of your bars have to be the same width because they are the same numbers in each interval. So you make it as close as the same width as possible. Using a ruler might even be the best decision for you. Okay, I would like you to go ahead and finish out this bar diagram on your own, and please press play when you have finished doing that. Okay, so your bar diagram should look somewhat like mine. Here we have another interpret the histogram. This is for you to practice. So I would like you to answer these 4 questions. And then whenever you finish that, you're going to go on to the last question, which is to draw your histogram, which is what we just did. You're going to label your titles, number your frequency, and use your scales that it has right here for the weight of the pumpkins. And we will check this over in class tomorrow.